The views and opinions expressed or products endorsed are not necessarily those of KTOV, its staff, or management.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and a happy good morning to you, wherever you are. This is the Clara Luper Radio Show, and today's show is being brought to you by Marilyn Hildred, your Allstate Insurance agent, located at 730 Britton Road in Oklahoma City. Marilyn say thank you for your business, although she's in San Francisco today, attending an Allstate conference. Her thoughts are here with you. Today is the day. The NACP Youth Council for the past week has been celebrating the Freedom Fiesta. This celebration is in memory of those people that participated in the sit-in movement on that historical day, August 19th, 1958. And today's program will be a program of remembrance. I think sometimes people need to sit down and remember. Oh, I salute the Jews because they never forget the Holocaust. They never forget the pains and the misery, even of those Jews that were led out of bondage during the days of Moses. And there are people that would like for black people to forget the sit-in movement, but we shall never forget it. We're having a parade today. The parade will start at Pitts Park at 10:30, exactly 10:30. We have asked all of the elected officials and others to participate. Now you're going to say to me, Clara, I didn't know about it. Well, we've had it since August of 1958, and if you haven't learned then I don't know. Certainly, I would like to interview Representative Kevin Cox. I've never had that opportunity, and I do wish that he would call me because I want to know there are some questions that I would like to ask him. He has never been on the Clara Luper radio show, and I've invited him. I tried to call him this morning but couldn't get him. I've also invited Mr. Kelly to come out today, Skip Kelly, and I do hope that he comes. Now, the time has come that black people are going to have to stop and ask black people some questions. We act like we are scared of black folks. Well, let's talk about the sit-in movement. And I want you to know that this program is being made possible by the sit-inners themselves. Marilyn Hildred was one of the sit-inners, and we would like to thank not only Marilyn, but we will read that story today. We are proud of our history. Why is it that you aren't proud of yours? The Clara Luper dinner will be held tonight at the First AME Church. That's 33rd and North Kelly in Oklahoma City. Tickets are $100, $50, and $25. Those of you that want to support it, good. Those of you who don't want to support it, good. Because Clara Luper knows what it is, what it means to walk alone. And today we are going to discuss that. This portion of our program is brought to you by Gates Barbershop, who has already got his big ticket for tonight's affair. Gates Barbershop is located at 2609 North Martin Luther King Avenue in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Mr. Robert Gates has always supported the sit-inners, not only that, the NACP. But as you look at his picture on the Black History Monument, the only one of its kind in America, and I'm ashamed of many of you blacks and whites in Oklahoma City haven't even taken time to look at it, but it's something that's outstanding. This portion of our program is brought to you by Dr. A.L. Dial, who participated in the sit-in movement. Dr. Dial is located at 934 Northeast 8th Street. The telephone number is 235-0536. This portion of the program is brought to you by Johnson Sardinas, located at 1643 Northeast 50th Street. The telephone number is 424-4156. Let me tell you something. Johnson Sardinas number 2 at 2611 North Martin Luther King is now open. You may call 427-5274. Now they are enrolling after-school programs, and I know this is great news for those of you that have children in Martin Luther King and other areas. You can bring your young people up there afterward. Now, the thing that's very, very important is the fact that you can take your children there after school. Someone has just called and wanted to know the correct address of the dinner. That's the First AME Church on Northeast 13th and Kelly. It's at 6:30 sharp. The speakers, we will have two. The Honorable Steve Brown will deliver the speech of his career. It's called 1-800-COLLECT. Baron Hopgood will speak on Wake Up, Black Men Wake Up. Baron Hopgood and Steve, be sure and call me out here. Yes, today's program is dedicated to the sit-inners. Calvin and we are going to ask our audience to look back at the days of before the sit-ins. Now, you can say what you want to, but we're going to look back at those days, and today we will be taking you back down memory lane. Jim Crow eating and sleeping and restrooms have had a long history in America, a long history in Oklahoma. Traveling by blacks was indeed a headache. If blacks traveled, they would have to carry their own lunches, buy cold snacks at grocery stores, or eat in the back of a white restaurant if they could find one that would serve them. Many stories have been told, and our young people need to listen so they will know how far we have come. Oklahoma had the most discriminatory laws in the United States. It was against the law in Oklahoma for blacks and whites to use the same telephone booths if there was a demand for separate ones. It was against the law for blacks and whites to use the same bath houses in the coal mines. It was against the law for blacks and whites to ride together on a bus or a train. It was against the law for blacks and whites to live together as brothers. But today we celebrate the beginning of the sit-in movement. Those of you that have experienced the scars of segregation, I want you to talk about it today because many people are ashamed. Many people are ashamed to talk about it, but we aren't. And that's why we are going to march today. We are going to march today. I don't know how many will be marching with us, but if you want to join us, we invite you to Pitts Park. We invite you to Pitts Park today. At 10:30, we will kick off. That's at 10:30 at Pitts Park. That's located on Northeast 18th and Kate. And walk with us. In walking, you will be saying, yes, we understand. We understand. Let me read the story to you. The same group of NAACP Youth Council members had congregated at my house, located at 1819 Northeast Park in Oklahoma City. It was August 19th, 1958. The long, hot summer's heat seemed endurable in the small, five-room, white frame house. But the mosquitoes were in complete control outside, and the youngsters remained inside, where they, with sweat on their faces, held their weekly meetings. Gwendolyn Fuller, president of the NAACP Youth Council, was presiding. Ruth Tolliver and I were in the kitchen preparing great Kool-Aid and lunch meat sandwiches. There was no advisor-youth council membership relationship then. It was a far deeper feeling that I had for the NAACP Youth Council members. I'd watched them grow up from infancy. I'd seen their minds develop, and I knew their parents and knew how much their parents loved them. I knew how unpopular it was to have your children involved in the NAACP Youth Council. And even it was more difficult to get adults involved. I'm telling you what happened. Continue the story, Calvin.
Mom, I will continue the story because we are reading from that great book, Behold the Walls, and the author is Clara Luper. But before I continue the story, I want you to talk to this person on the line. They've called and called long distance, and they especially have something that they want to say to you that might encourage you some today, and we can come back to this, and we will start on page 1 of Behold the Walls of chapter 1. So good morning, caller. How are you doing this very beautiful morning?
I'm doing quite well. How are you, Mrs. Luper?
I am fine because today we are marching, remembering the sit-inners.
Well, that's a wonderful
And tonight
thing.
we are having our annual Clara Luper's dinner, which symbolizes all that participated in the sit-in movement.
Well, first I would like to say what a pleasure it is for me to be able to call. I'm not sure if you know who this is, Mrs. Luper, but I want to say how much I've missed you, how glad I am to be back in Oklahoma City. This is Bashira Ahmed, Miss Black America, and I wanted to surprise you this morning, so I didn't tell you that I was going to call, but I really have missed you and everybody with the NAACP Youth Group and the Freedom Center. And I wanted to call in and just make a short remark about the issue that's being discussed. Fortunately, I didn't grow up in a time where I ever had to sit in the back of the bus or eat at a particular spot in a restaurant, or I never had to drink out of a certain water fountain because people before me fought so that I would have rights that they didn't have when they were growing up. But my parents and grandparents told me many stories, many horrific stories about things they had to endure. And I'm just so thankful that people such as Clara Luper and some of the youth NAACP group had the courage to stand up to the injustice that was being done to the African American race. And I think that a lot of us owe them a sincere thank you, because some of the things that we take for granted today, we wouldn't be able to do if it wasn't for people who had that courage. So, Ms. Luper, once again, I owe you so much, and I just want to say thank you. And I hope I didn't shock you too much, but I look forward to seeing everyone as soon as possible.
I am very happy, and I'm looking forward to seeing you. I saw you last night at Tabernacle. You did a beautiful job.
Well, thank you. I'm so sorry I didn't see you beforehand. I sure would have come up and spoken, but I didn't know you were there.
But I'm always there, wherever you are. I'm always there.
Well, thank you very much.
May God bless you, and I'm so happy that you are back from California.
God bless you also.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Each year at school, and we're going back now to Behold the Walls, Chapter 1. Behold the Walls, written by Clara Luper. Each year at school, Dungy School she's talking about, I'd present plays during Negro History Week, as it was called then. In 1957, I presented Brother President, the story of Martin Luther King, Jr., and the nonviolent techniques that were used to eliminate segregation in Montgomery, Alabama. The cast consisted of 26 students that were talented, ambitious, and dedicated. The leading characters were William Miles, Joseph Hill, and Maxine Dowdell. This play had filled the auditorium at Dungy High School and drew tremendous turnouts all over the state. In 1957, it was presented at the East 6th Street Christian Church, where Herbert Wright, the National Youth Director of NAACP, was in attendance. He was so impressed with the play that he invited me to present it in New York City at a Salute to Young Freedom Fighters rally. He agreed to pay the main character's expenses. However, I thoroughly understood the financial plight of the NAACP's national office, and we worked out a compromise. We would raise the money for transportation, and he'd take care of our hotel and food bill in New York City. Reverend J.S. Sykes, a very active CME minister, Mr. A. Willie James, the number one NAACP membership writer, and Doc Williams, a well-known bondsman and real estate dealer, helped me to raise $1,895 in order that we could make the trip. The Oklahoma City community responded rapidly and shared in our adventure. The cast, most of whom had never been out of Oklahoma City, stopped in St. Louis for dinner and experienced their first integrated lunch counter service. This they continued to enjoy and appreciate on the trip. Words are inadequate to describe the expressions and the actions of young people who, by tradition and custom, had been separated by the strong, visible walls of segregation. The group stayed at the Henry Hudson Hotel in New York City, and the play was presented in both Manhattan and in Harlem. The youth met freedom fighters from the South, and the excitement and adventure of such a trip had a permanent effect on their lives. In planning the trip, we decided to go the northern route and return by the southern route. On our return trip, we stopped in Washington, D.C. and visited the top historical spots, including Arlington National Cemetery. As we stood in the cemetery and watched the change of guard, each youth had an opportunity to think about freedom. One asked, "What do you think would happen in this country if the unknown soldier's casket was opened and they would find out that he was black?" Joanne Johnson said, "I don't know." Barbara Posey, the secretary of the Youth Council, told the group that since all of these people had died for our freedom, we need to really get busy and do something for our country. Yes, these people that are buried at Arlington Cemetery did all they could for freedom. I don't think the color of the unknown soldier's skin is important. I think it's what he did, and we have to do something. Silently, the group left Arlington Cemetery after pledging that they'd do something for their country and loaded on the Greyhound bus. As the bus headed southward, the walls of segregation became so visible. In Nashville, Tennessee, the bus driver admitted that he did not know of any place where blacks could sit down and eat. So paper sack lunches became the order of the day through Tennessee, Arkansas, and back into Oklahoma. John White's words, "The sooner state, the sooner we get rid of segregation, the better off we'll be," were repeated continuously by the group. True, you know, segregation just doesn't fit in with my personality, William Miles said, with a quick smile that faded back to a face of, of solemnity. The group applauded with loud outbursts of freedom now, freedom now. Back in Oklahoma City, the group decided to break down segregation and public accommodation for all time and pay any price for it. That would be our project to eliminate segregation in public accommodations, the group said. A strategy was worked out where the public accommodation owners and managers would be approached directly by a small delegation. There was never to be over three in the delegation, and Mrs. Caroline Burks, a stately, freedom-loving white woman, was to accompany the group on all occasions. She did this with a dedication that was followed up with letters and personal visits. The campaign was followed by a direct private approach to the city manager and city council, which told the group, "We are sorry, we do not have the power to interfere in private businesses. We don't tell the businesses who to serve, and they don't tell us how to run our city government." The campaign turned into a letter-writing campaign to churches. The white church leaders turning the deaf ears. Their beautiful buildings stood as monuments to their dedication to Christianity. The black churches did not want to get involved at this time and told us we could not meet in their churches. They would take up a collection for us and make announcements concerning our worthwhile activities. The meetings continued with a warm-up chanting rally. The group was chanting, "We want to eat now. We want to eat now. We don't want any more excuses." Gwen Fuller leaned back in her chair and looked at the group as the singing and clapping grew louder and louder. Barbara Posey, the spokesman for the Public Accommodations Committee, made her report. The owners of all public accommodations in Oklahoma City say that they will not serve blacks. Now what are we going to do? Merlin Luper spoke out. "I'll tell you, Barbara. I move that we go down to Cat's Drug Store and sit down and drink a Coke." "I second the motion," said Rita Tolliver. The motion was carried unanimously by the group. "When shall we go?" the group asked as if in a choir. "Gwen, let me tell you, you know that I made the motion to go, and I feel that I should have the privilege of deciding when we should go," said Merlin Luper. A silence fell over the meeting. After a few minutes with Merlin staring into the future, she said, "Tonight is the time, and as I read in Mr. Wiseman's typing book, now is the time for all good men to come to the aid of their party." "That doesn't mean that we would have to go tonight," shouted Calvin. A brother-sister debate occurred, and in a high-toned voice, Calvin said, "Don't you ever think that I'm afraid to go." Robert Posey said, "We have waited for over 15 months, and Oklahoma has waited 50 years. Let's go down and wait in front of the managers so that people can see our problem." Portwood Williams Jr. said, "The men in the NACP Youth Council are ready to go right now. We're able to take care of any situation."
Then they looked at me. Barbara Posey said to me, "Mrs. Luper, what do you think?" I could feel the eyes of the members on me. I thought for a brief moment and traced the steps that we had taken. We had been patient, and I saw in the children's eyes reflections of my restless childhood, when I wanted to do something about a system that had paralyzed my movements and made me an outsider in my own country. Yet these children range from 7 to 15 years of age. I thought about my father, Ezel Shepard, who had died in 1957 in the Veterans Hospital and had never been able to sit down and eat a meal in a decent restaurant. I remember how he used to tell us that someday he would take us to dinner and to parades and to parks and zoos. And when I asked him when was someday, he would always say, "Someday will be real soon," as tears ran down his cheeks. So my answer was, yes, tonight is the night. History compels us to go, and let history alone be our final judge. We didn't have any transportation. Ruth Tolliver, Lillian Oliver, Mary Pogue, and Portwood Williams took us downtown. That night my mother called me. I said that Mother said to me, "When will the youth council meeting be over?" I said, "Mom, it's not over. In fact, we are just beginning." She said, "Well, Clara, don't keep the kids up too late. You know tomorrow." And I said, "Yes, Mother. I'm going to take you downtown to eat for your birthday on August the 21st. She said, "Clara, you aren't going to take me anywhere tomorrow. I'm not thinking about those white folks." "What day is tomorrow anyway?" "Well, Clara, we don't worry about our tomorrow because it's just another day." I said, "Yes, Mama, tomorrow is just another day." I rushed out of my house, and on a still hot August night, August 1958, we went to Cat's Drug Store in the heart of Oklahoma City. I called the following names: Richard Odell Brown, Elmer Edwards, Linda Pogue, Lana Pogue, Rita Tolliver, Calvin Luper, Marilyn Luper, Portwood Williams Jr., Lynzetta Jones, Gwendolyn Fuller, Alma Faye Posey, Barbara Posey, Goldie Battle, and Betty Germany. And that was the beginning of the sitting movement.
And
How
that date
many
again,
remember?
Mom.
August 1958. And
Since
today we'll
that
be
date,
marching
and
in memory of the sitting movement. Wonder what was it like? Let's turn now to Letty Ruth. Letty Ruth?
well, I know Mrs. Hunter is listening, and she's getting ready to come on the air. But then the
Hello.
question
Yes.
is, what was it like?
That's Mrs. Hunter's on the air. Mrs. Hunter?
Right. Good morning, and how are you today, Mrs. Luper? And I want to say hello to all those that's in Radio Land that's listening to us today. I'm sure that they are going to come out this afternoon to your luncheon. I heard you mention that.
No, my dinner lady.
Your dinner, I'm sorry. Coming out tonight to your dinner. I'm sure they listen because we always have a Clara Luper dinner to terminate our August fiesta. And we always try to have it at the same time that we started the sit-in movement in 1958. And we've had this for several years.
Since
I want to
1958.
talk about, I heard you, Calvin, reading in your book, but I want to take you back to a few years because I think I was here a few years before you were. And I want to thank you, and I'm sorry Moore didn't march with you, and Moore wasn't brave enough and strong enough and could see beyond the horizon the needs of eating in all of the places. Not only that, do you remember when we would go downtown, great big downtown? Downtown was a thing, not the malls that these youngsters see today. But we only had to go downtown, and our shopping places were at Johnny Brown's and Rothschild's and Halliburton's and Kerr's. Those were the big stores that were downtown. And you can believe that you went downtown, you better go to the bathroom before you left home. You better drink the water that you wanted before you also left home. Because they had water fountains, but the water fountains was at the public places where they said blacks and whites. And usually our water fountains were never cleaned. Only the other water fountains were cleaned. And when you got ready to go to the restroom, the only restroom that I know about was at the bus station. And they had a little room over around behind the main seating section of the bus station. The bus station is there now. And you went in that bathroom, and it was never clean. And it just depended on the blacks that went in there as how clean they kept it. And, you know, coming and going, it was not kept too clean. But this is where, if you wanted to go to the restroom, this is where you would go. Then I'm thinking about clothes and about the hats. Then really, I'm thinking about school. When I was in school, Mrs. Luper, how it was. When we wanted books, we always got secondhand books and secondhand erasers and secondhand seats. We never got new seats and new books and new erasers. Back then, it was hard. When you went downtown, if you were hungry, you stayed hungry until you got back home, unless you carried you a sandwich in a sack and in your purse. Then you'd walk up and down the street in the hot sun, fighting flies and all of the people, because that was the only place to downtown, and it would be a lot of people shopping downtown. And you'd slip and eat your sandwich out of this paper sack if you got hungry, and you dared to take any children with you, because you knew that they would get hungry and they'd want to go to the restroom, and they had no restroom. And it was way too far to walk them to the bus station from the downtown area, especially if they wanted to use the restroom, because they could not make it down that distance. So back then, it was hard. It was hard. But we survived. That's the thing.
But Mrs. Hunter, this week has been a week of celebration. You remember the words of Mrs. Mosey Walker. as she described Mr. Doc Williams on his day on Sunday at Quay's Methodist Church. You remember the words of Reverend Moore. You remember the songs of the young people at Quay's. And on Monday night, on Monday, you remember that soul dinner in the beautiful home of Mrs. Gloria Matthews. On Tuesday, you remember the salad festival in memory of Cecil L. Williams with Mrs. Leola Ford and Miss Wilma Ray. And then on Wednesday, the children met in a celebration, a remembrance. And then on Thursday night, you remember the fashion show that Lillian Oliver, Letty Ruth Hunter, and Nancy had thought about some years ago. And yes, you remember that fashion show.
Yes, I do. I remember each activity because I was there. I was there to witness each of those. And those who were not there really missed a treat. And they missed the favor of a lifetime. And they missed a chance to just say, thank you, sit-inners. Thank you, sit-inners. To making it possible that we can go downtown, either go out to the malls and go into the shopping centers. And we can try on hats, and we can try on clothes. We can go in and use the restroom. And we can go in the cafes that's downtown and eat. Even Mrs. Luper, when you were traveling, if you were traveling across this country, you had to take your restroom in the car with you. You would carry your restroom in the car. And when you got way out in the country someplace, then you would use this restroom, or you would empty this restroom, and you had to be sure that you did not see a car coming.
Well, Mrs. Hunter, it's been a long fight. And at that time, we didn't have any black elected officials.
No, we did not.
But we have them now. And I'm waiting on the voice of a Calvin Cox, a voice of an Opio Toure, a Angela Munson. Yes, I'm waiting on the voice of a Thelma Parks. We haven't seen them. Maybe they, too, have forgotten. Maybe we will hear from them today. The telephone number is 672-1220 because you are the beneficiaries. Always easy to talk that talk now and walk that walk. But we are here today with deep black memories.
And that's true. And then, when we go in these cafes and restaurants, we kind of forget the bridge that was built for us to walk over to get there. Somehow we so easily forget.
And today we will be marching in memory of A. Willie James, who used to march with us. A memory of a Theodosia Crawford, a Leslie Brown. Yes, we will be marching today in memory of a Carolyn Bratton, in memory of Clementine Lost. Oh, it's easy for our young people to look down on us now. But one thing about it, God knows what happened. And today we are wrestling with deep black memories. We don't know whether we will be alone in the march today. It doesn't make any difference because there were only 13 of us. And somebody here has called out here and asked, why is it that the NACP senior branch is having their softball tournament and the Urban League is having their fun festival? Well, we can't have a fun festival. We can't have it because, and I don't want you to compare us with the Urban League because the Urban League has a paid staff. It's part of the United One. The Urban League has money to advertise and to bring in people that we can't. We are operating only by the poor, by selling aluminum cans, and by young people like Cameron and others that are giving that little 10 cents. Oh, but we
And then, Ms. Luper, we're operating differently. What we're doing, we're bringing in these children, underprivileged children, and we're trying to help them become worthwhile citizens.
And we don't want anybody comparing us.
And this makes the difference.
Well,
we're doing all of this because we care for young people, and we want to see them make a change.
And Letty, when I found out that the Urban League was having that fun festival at the same time that we were having the sit-in movement. I called Mr. Leonard Benton, one of the most intelligent men in America, and he told me that he didn't know about the sit-ins.
Oh, Mrs. Luper, I'm sure he did
That's
not.
what Leonard
Said
Benton
he
told
said
me.
what?
He did not know that we had the Freedom Fiesta. I said, Leonard, we've only had it since 1958, and we have had the same routine every year. The Cecil Williams Day, the Lady Ruth Hunt,
That's
the Lady
right.
and Clara Luper Day. And
I thought the purpose of the league was to help with the community activities.
But see,
and
the
you mean
Urban
to tell
League-
me that we have the leader who did not know about the Freedom Fiesta?
But see, they
and
don't have.
we've had it for years and years.
But see, they don't have the scars that we have.
They don't
We
have to
can't
have the
tell-
scars.
they don't
But
have the
you're supposed to- They're
scars.
supposed to be a helping,
Well, they
helping
are.
organization and not a deterrent one.
We can't have it. We cannot understand. But somewhere my grandmother taught me an old song. We will understand it better by and by. But today we are having a march. Those of you that would like to join us, we would be happy to have you marching with us. But we have Mrs. Fred Sutton handed me a piece of wrinkled yellow paper that she had saved from that area, where her daughter Gloria, who sleeps now in yonder's grave, had written the words that I'd given to she and Nancy Lynn Davis and little Miss Anderson about the deep black rivers that I had known. And certainly, lady, we've had some deep black rivers.
Oh, we definitely have.
Deep, deep, deep. Deep, deep, deep. And I asked one of our distinguished leaders, I said, will you buy a ticket? They say, oh, it's too much. It costs too much, $25 too much. You know, I only make $30,000 a year. I say, but oh, you're eating in the restaurants. It was made possible by people that had never seen a $30,000 a year check. Most of them had never made over $3 an hour, but they were there. Well, lady, I guess let's
That's
let
right.
the
They
public
did
see.
not have to go in and buy an ice cream cone and walk out on the hot streets and try to eat an ice cream while it melted all down your hand and ran all down to your elbows because you were hungry, and that's all that you could get was a ice cream cone, and you walk out on the streets to eat it, to have something cold.
Thank you so very kindly, and I'll see you at the parade. It will start at 10:30
Okay.
at Pitts
And
Park.
I'm asking all the people to come out to the parade and just take a few minutes to come out and share in the parade today. And if not, if you can't come, just stand out and see and give us a clapping hand as we go by. Thank you, Clara.
Well, thank you. This program is being made possible by Captain Car Wash. That's some car wash.
You say Capital Car Wash.
Located between 24th and 25th in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Capital Car Wash, where you can get your car washed, where you can get a detail. All you have to do is drive in there today and tell them you heard it on the Clara Luper radio show. Well, I can say one thing. When the whites were elected, they didn't pay us no attention. We were alone. The NACP Youth Council, we didn't have one elected officials to walk with us. Wonder how many will we have today? We do not know. But what's the difference between the black elected officials and the white elected officials as far as NACP is concerned? And I can tell them one thing, that we don't understand it today, but we will understand it by and by. And by should be on election day. This part of our program is brought to you by Exotic Plants and Florists, 3620 North Lincoln Boulevard in Oklahoma City, where you can order flowers for all occasions. The telephone number is 528-7659, Exotic Plants and Florists. Well, Calvin, we tried to answer the people. They want to know why is it that we can't do things like everybody else.
Well, Mom, I had an opportunity. I was on the phone and I was listening, trying to listen to the conversation you were having. But then first of all, I want to say a happy birthday to a young lady, Miss Bridges, out there. Happy birthday. I hope you have many more. But then, you know, I look at Oklahoma City and the growth and the progress that we've made just in the past few years here in Oklahoma City. And I am quite impressed with the job that the NACP Youth Council is continuing to do. I am glad to see other organizations doing things, you know. And even though our dates coincide at this time, I know that there are those in the Urban League who didn't quite realize that our dates were hitting like that. But one thing about those people in the Urban League, those of us in the NACP, we know that together we're going to all have to work together to make this city a better place. And this year that the dates may have hit like that, but I don't
Well,
think
they're
they'll hit
working
again.
together. The Urban League's having their fun festival,
Right,
and they should have fun.
It's a very
But the-
nice affair.
But the NACP will be remembering the sit-inners
Well,
and the beginning of the sit-in movement. Those of you that would like to join us tonight, call us 672-1220.
and then also we want you to call and hear some of your memories of how life was before the sit-in movement, before
I
that
wanna hear
fateful
from the
night,
public.
August 19,
I want to hear from the
1958.
public. I want to hear from the public. How was yours? Where were you? And this is the issue. I have some deep black memories. Memories of going to jail 26 times. Memories of being spit on, being slapped, and being kicked. Yes, I have some deep black memories. But tonight at 6:30 at the First AME Church located on 33rd and Martin and Kelly, we will be there in memory. We will honor 4 outstanding Oklahomans who symbolize what we are talking about. Reverend H.A. Walker, who has certainly been a pioneer. Reverend H.A. Walker will be honored tonight. Mr. Wesley Carmichael, Mr. Carmichael, bus driver, devoted usher, will be honored tonight. Mrs. Emma McCarver, who did the best she could at all times, will be honored tonight. And Mr. Sammy Davis, the owner of McKay Davis Funeral Home. Ladies and gentlemen, a miracle has just happened.
And that miracle is
A
on the
miracle,
phone. One miracle
okay,
is on because
hello.
we have a dynamic young man that's
Who?
waiting to talk on the
Who
phone.
is
And
that?
it's none other than our illustrious sports reporter, the guest speaker for tonight at the Clara Luper dinner, Steve Brown. Good morning, Steve. How are you doing this beautiful morning?
I'm doing fine, Kevin.
Okay, tell us about it.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Steve Brown, and I'm around with the sports news. This week, we look at preseason football as it draws near to the regular season. Atlanta defeated Arizona 31-30. Baltimore upset the Bills 37-14. The Saints beat the Vikings 16-13. The Patriots defeated the Redskins 27-19. The Panthers rolled past the Giants 34-7, and the Jaguars defeated the Broncos 31-24. The Dallas Cowboys look to pick up momentum tonight as they play the Houston Oilers. The Cowboys have been plagued with injuries, but feel that this will not be a problem. This is Steve Brown saying, see you at the next game. Remember, this is Steve Brown on the Clara Luper Radio Show, and I will be around.
Well, Steve, I'll see you tonight, and I understand that you're going to be the guest speaker.
Yes, Miss Luper.
We're really excited about. You're speaking about, what's your subject?
1-800-COLLECT.
1-800-COLLECT. I wouldn't miss it for nothing. That's worth $100. Yes, today's program is in memory of those that participated in the sit-in movement. Those that worked day and night. The sit-in started on August 19, 1958, and did not stop until 1964. And today we'll be marching in memory. I call for you out in Radio Land. I call for my own elected officials, the Honorable Kevin Cox, to just come and congratulate us. It's been a long, hard fight, Mr. Cox. And we haven't seen you during the years. You never had to sit in like we had to sit in. But your father supported us to the nth degree. We call for the Honorable Thelma Parks, our board member. Yes, we would like for just to hear words, just to come by, give us a pat on the back. We've heard from you, Opio. We would like to hear your voice. Everybody talking about what they are going to do. But as we turn the pages of history, we remember Jimmy Stewart, who's now bent with the years. Yes, we've heard of Willard Moore, who was there, and we could go on down the line. But where were you, and what are you enjoying? Ladies and gentlemen, a miracle has just happened. A young man has just walked in here. You've heard my call. And what is your name, sir?
Ronald Skip Kelly.
Ronald Skip Kelly, I'm glad that you answered my appeal. Do you realize that today we will be marching in memory of the sit-inners?
I do, Miss Luper, and we'll be right there with you.
You will be with us?
We'll be there with you.
Oh, I'm really excited about it. And I know the other elected officials should be there. I understand that you are running for the House of Representatives in District number 97.
That's correct.
Why did you decide to run for the House of Representatives?
Well, I run because I am deeply concerned about the conditions that exist within our district, our community, as it pertains to our children, the education, the elderly, the economics, and the crime, and the unequal treatment of our citizens in reference to employment.
Oh, yes, I just read in the Chronicle where you didn't have as much money as Kevin Cox. I understand that he has gotten over how many $1,000s?
Well, from what we've been told, that there has been over $46,000 that he's received from insurance lobbyists or political action committees on behalf of insurance companies since 1994.
But 46,000 this year?
Well, from the last two reportings.
Okay,
this
you have
year.
to report when you run for an office. You have to report every 3 months or what?
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay, and in his report, he's gotten 40-some thousand dollars donated. I've seen him donate $100 or $500 to churches and things, maybe.
Well, the report is filed with the Ethics Commission, which is a matter of public record, and it shows that he has received over $46,000 in lobbyists or PAC contributions.
These are white lobbyists and white people that have given him the money. Why didn't you get some of the white people's money?
Well, when you're already in office, they tend not to even come to you in reference to any donations. And since I'm the challenger for this position, I haven't received a dime from any political action committee. I haven't received a dime from any lobbyist.
But where did you get your money from? I understand that you raised about how much?
We have probably raised approximately $20,000, close to $20,000.
Well, where did your
altogether.
$20,000 come from?
Every dime that we have gotten has been money that has come from myself, from my employment, friends of mine, professional associates of mine, and that's the only funds that we've received is from individuals.
Now, according to the reports that we have heard, whoever finance you, whoever give you the money makes the calls that you have to respond to. And you're saying, now, I've looked at Kevin Cox ads, I've listened to them, but he said he's going to continue to do something with crime, he's going to do something in education. What are you going to do?
Well, I know for a fact that I can do a lot more in reference to addressing the issues as it pertains to our children. Juvenile justice system is at a state of disarray. Our criminal justice system is at a state of disarray. We have children that are placed in the criminal justice system because we have unfair laws as it pertains to the criminal justice system overall. And unfortunately, a lot of black children are labeled and placed in the system because they don't have the funds to represent themselves. And so that's one of the things that I know I can do. Education as a part of the educational system in Oklahoma since 1972. I have a great deal of knowledge about the problems within our education system. And one of those problems is that our children need to know what their history is. And I'm very deeply committed to addressing those issues once elected to the House of Representatives.
What have you done so far in the community?
Miss Luper, I've been in Oklahoma City since 1972, and in 1972, a lady by the name of Miss Sarah Hardiman gave me my first opportunity to work within the Oklahoma City school system, and I worked as a community school counselor, working with children who was having problems within the school system at Classen, Northwest, Northeast, and Douglas. And since that time, I've been deeply involved in programs relating to mentor work with children, served as a pro bono attorney for the Legal Aid of Western District of Oklahoma, providing free legal assistance to the underprivileged that they may be able to defend themselves within the judicial system. And presently, I'm still a member of that organization in which I provide free legal service to a lot of citizens who cannot afford representation in certain type of cases. I might add that the day of the bombing in Oklahoma City, 2 weeks after that, there was a apartment complex that was completely displaced as far as the citizens, no clothing, and I personally was able to get one of the major department stores in Oklahoma City. Myself, my wife, and my brother-in-law, we packaged up clothes and delivered it to the people who were staying in the hotels who were displaced from the Regency Tower, because we were committed to doing something to help the people who could not help themselves at that time. And those are the type of things that I get involved in when it comes down to committing myself to helping those who can't help themselves.
All right, now tell you that Passion Home Care is available. And remember one thing for sure, that they will take care of business. I'm talking about the business of the sick. I'm talking about business. They will take care of business. Passion Home Care, you may call them at 943-5779. They are located at 3838 Northwest 36th Street. Mrs. Deborah Jackson is the owner. Let's talk about sit-ins. Let's talk about freedom. Let's talk about a monument, the only black history monument in the United States. You cannot go around it. There it is, standing tall at 2609 North Martin Luther King Avenue. And today we are here with memories. Memories of those that walked in the sit-ins, those that went to jail during the sit-ins. Yes, we are here today, filled with memories. And we would like to say thanks to all of the sit-ins, wherever you are. We would like to say thanks, because every time I go into a restaurant, every time I go into a hotel, I realize that it had not been for the sit-ins, it would not have been possible. I want you to join me today. I want you to remember the sit-in movement started August 19, 1958. And I will soon have a book that will be out on the Black History Monument, facts about the Black History Monument and the Black History dates. Now the big question is, will you be at the dinner tonight? Will you be there to hear Baron Hopgood? Will you be there to hear Steve Brown? Will you be at the dinner tonight? The tickets are only $25, $50, and $100. But that will be used to put the names of those people that are given on that monument that you see without any names. Because when people come up there, they know the kind of jobs our people have in Oklahoma. They know that we are able to do it. But will we do it? That's the issue. Mrs. Freddie Stevens has always supported us, and we would like to thank you. We would like to thank Mrs. Martha Brown. Oh, yes, we would like to thank our children. And I have a little secret to tell you. One of my sons getting married. That's the baby son. Harold has found him a girl that's going to marry him. I am so happy. I will have a new daughter-in-law. Her name is Jeanette Johnson, and she's from Wichita, Kansas, or Arkansas. We are so happy to welcome her into our family. Go on, Harold, with your bad self. This is the Clara Luper radio show, and I'm talking to Skip. I wish Kevin Cox, my elected officials, would call me and tell me how much they love the sit-ins that have made it possible. One word from Kevin Cox, one word from Opio, one word for Angela Munson, who used to walk with us, used to be president of the NACP, who used to march with us, and who used to be in our parades. Oh, if I could just hear from them. But if they don't, we just have to go on anyhow. We had a song that we used to sing in the sit-in movement. If my mama doesn't go, I'm going on anyway. And that's what we are going to do today. The march will start at exactly 10:30. The young people are gathering there now. And we are concerned only with one thing, that you know about it. And if you know about it and don't do anything, that's you and your God. Mr. Kelly, Attorney Skip Kelly, why do they call you Skip? Do you skip around?
My aunt told me.
Who's your aunt?
Miss Deborah Mitchell, who's now deceased.
Okay.
And, she gave me a nickname when I was like 3 years old, and it was Skipper. So all my family called me Skipper, but I tried to get away from the name as I left and went to college, and it just never left, so it became part of my name, Ronald Skip Kelly.
I understand that you will be on the ballot come Tuesday, August the 27th.
That's correct, on the Democratic ticket for the House of Representatives for District 97.
You will be running.
I am running.
Oh, you are running. Okay.
We've been running since April of this year, and we have a serious grassroots door-to-door campaign, so we're going to go out and participate in the parade, and we'll be back out knocking on people's doors.
Okay, well, we hope to see you at the dinner tonight.
We're going to definitely try to make it.
Okay. I want to hear from my elected officials. Where are you? What's the difference between a black elected official and a white one? The white ones sure didn't come. In 1958, we couldn't get one white elected official to speak up for us, and today is a new day. Maybe we will have some. Yes.
Ms. Luper, I would like to acknowledge the fact that as a result of your fight in the civil rights movement, being from Enid, Oklahoma, my dad was one of the second black police officers in the city of Enid. And because of what you've done and what you did, we were able to do things in Enid that we had never been able to do. I used to see my dad stop a white citizen, but could not place him in the police car because the black police officers were not allowed it to transport a white citizen to the jail. And I remember when you came to Enid, Oklahoma, and fought for the right for us to go into the department stores and sit down at the counters and have lunch, made a big change in the discrimination that existed in Enid, Oklahoma. And I was always grateful, and I'm a recipient of that. And because of your fight and the people who stood and fought with you, I'm very deeply indebted to all of you.
And I'm indebted to all of you out in radio land. You that prayed for us, you that hoped for us, and you that dreamed for us. And as we face another year unafraid, I just want to say thanks. I just want to say thanks to all of you. Those of you who are not financially able to attend the Clara Luper dinner, why don't you drop by and leave us a penny, or a nickel, or a dime, and say, I'm in your corner. I want to see the fight carry on. Because we haven't won it yet. We haven't even gotten into the ball game. We've just only heard the whistles. The fight now must be toward better job opportunities. And we can't get the jobs, young people, if we are too drunk to fill out an application. If we're so high on drugs that we think that we are already multimillionaires. But I say to you young people as you go back to school now, remember that the city in us must continue. We must sit in the libraries. We must sit in the science labs. We must sit in and learn how to type. We must move on because the future belongs only to those that prepare for it. And if by fate, the Clara Luper will never see another freedom fiesta, I want you to know that I've enjoyed every moment of being with you. Even though my feet were tired and swollen, but my soul was happy. And every day I thank God that I had the opportunity to be a part of the sitting movement. This is Clara Luper saying to Bill Murray and all of you out there, keep up the faith. And to little O'Brien and Thais, keep on. If you have to march along this morning, just march on anyhow. Clara Luper saying, thank you, Skip. May God bless you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
The paid program. The